Hola clase, I am in module 6 and we are working on Lexicas dos for Monday by 11:59. That's going to be the new university classes vocabulary. And then you're also just going to get ready with Gramaticales tres, ready and learn it. You also have a discussion board due by Monday and the AR verbs assignment. Some of you already did that. But for the discussion board, what you're going to do is you're going to answer these questions. And if you can take a look at the questions with me now, it's asking, ¿Tienes una clase difícil? ¿Qué clase es? So you can just write respuesta if you want to answer. And then, so you want to answer with tengo, because tienes is do you have. So si you want to answer sí or no. Sí, tengo una clase difícil. And then you want to say the class. Es cálculo. Right? Something like that. And then tienes una computadora nueva o antigua. You're going to answer with I have a new computer. Remember, nueva is going to go after computadora. And same thing with antigua. So, sí, tengo una computadora antigua. Tienes un compañero de clase muy inteligente. So it's like a classmate. Do you have an intelligent classmate? So you're going to say, sí, tengo un compañero de clase inteligente. Se llama Manuel. Or se llama Sarah, for example. Tienes una clase con muy pocos estudiantes. ¿Cuántos estudiantes hay? So you could say, sí, tengo una clase con pocos estudiantes. Es la clase de español. And then, ¿cuántos estudiantes hay? Hay, remember that's there is or there are. Hay 20 estudiantes, for example. So don't repeat those answers I just gave you unless they're the same as yours. But in general, you're just trying to answer with tengo to say the things that you have. Tienes is do you have? Tengo is I have. So that is it for this week, for this coming week. And you do have this AR verbs assignment, which is the 6-3. So you're just going to do this practice here, AR verbs practice, because it's lining up with 6-3. So you're going to do that one as well. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to go over some pronouns. So if you have your notebook available, please take that out. And then we're just going to take some notes just to review. So remember our subject pronouns. We just want to go over those. Subject pronouns. So those are our sujetos. And we usually we're not conjugating a verb now. We're just going over what the subject pronouns are in the box of the 6 packs. So remember, the first one's going to be yo. And you want to use these for the next activity. So make sure you write them down. I. And tú is you. We're not putting verbs here. We're just saying I and you. And this one's going to be él and ella and usted. That's he and she and you formal. If you don't know those, write those down. Nosotros, we, or nosotras if it were all girls. And then we have vosotros and vosotras. That's y'all if you're from Spain. And then we have ellos and ellas and ustedes. So what we want to do now is we want to take those pronouns and we want to decide which one goes with which person here. So for Senor Garcia or Mr. Garcia, which one of those subject pronouns that we just wrote down, which one would match with Senor Garcia? That one's going to be él, he. Número dos, I. That's going to be yo. Mrs. Nunez. Which subject pronoun is the same as Mrs. Nunez out of that list that we made earlier? That's going to be ella. All of us, like we basically. That's going to be nosotros. The kids. It would be ellos most likely. If it were girl kids, it could be ellas. You, an adult, like someone you're formal with. That's usted. Or you, a child, someone that you're informal with. That's going to be tú with the accent. We, all ladies. That's going to be nosotras. Escribe los plurales. So you want to look at the subject pronoun and decide what's the plural form of that. So for yo, the plural form is going to be nosotros. So you're going to look across the table. So you see yo and then you see nosotros. So what's the plural form of ella? That's going to be ellas. What's the plural form of usted? That's going to be ustedes. The plural form of él is going to be ellos. And the plural form of tú, you plus somebody else, it could either be vosotros, or if you don't use vosotros because you're not from Spain or you prefer using ustedes, that's another way of saying you guys. So you plus somebody else is you guys. So we want to rewrite these sentences here. So for numero uno, we want to say Maria es mi amiga. We want to change it to the subject pronoun instead of Maria. So essentially we're going to say she is my friend. That's going to be ella es mi amiga. And then Oscar es mi hermano. Here we want to say he is my brother. That's going to be él es mi hermano. Here we have Marco y yo son primos. So that should be somos. So let's say Marco and yo. So that's going to be nosotros somos primos. And then we have Elena y Tomás son mis abuelos. There it's going to be ellos son mis abuelos. And here Anita y Nina son mis tías. So here we want to say ellas son mis tías. Mis tías. As we go into the verbs, I will send you copies of a few videos to watch. So I'm just going to ask you to watch the videos and go over the forms of the verbs that you'll see that we'll be reviewing today. So if you were in class on Tuesday this week, we talked about conjugating verbs, and we talked about the fact that in Spanish, we have to change a verb. So for example, we're changing a verb like contestar. And if you don't have these notes, please copy these down now. We did conjugate verbs on Tuesday. So we're conjugating verb contestar. We said the first thing we have to do is take off the AR. So we would have left with contest after we take off our AR. So then what we're going to do after that is we have cocinar here. So if you don't have these notes, you can pause this video and write them down. We went over this on Tuesday. So we had cocinar, to cook. We crossed up the AR. That's the first step to conjugate. And we're going to change it into I cook, you cook, he cooks. So the circled letters are the endings for AR verbs in the present. So if you want to say I cook or I speak or any AR verb, it's going to be cocino. I cook, I do cook, I am cooking. Then we have cocinas. That's the AS, that's going to be the to form. And remember, we don't really need the to, but we can put it in there just to remind ourselves that it's there, yo. And for the third person, we usually always put the subject pronouns. We have él cocina or ella cocina. That A is going to be for the third person singular. Then if you have I plus somebody else, it's nosotros. That's going to be cocinamos. And then we have vosotros, which we don't need because the ending actually implies that that's already vosotros. Same here with amos. That's going to be ais. So anytime you're talking about vosotros and you have an AR verb and it's regular, like these verbs we're talking about now, you're just going to add that AIS. Ais. Vosotros cocináis la cena. And then we have cocinan. That's for ellos or ellas or ustedes. They cook, they do cook, they are cooking. So that's how we conjugate a verb. And this was a little messy up here, but so these are your endings. You have o, as, a, amos, ais, an, and that's the six pack. So anytime you're conjugating, like if you have yo hablo, tú hablas, that's another AR verb to speak, él habla. We're just going to put the endings on for the different subject pronouns. So hopefully that all makes sense. And we just want to go over some practice. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you a verb and then you're going to conjugate. So for yo escuchar en clase, you want to say I listen in class. So you're going to conjugate that for me. You should have, so if you take off your AR, you have, you're left with escuch. And then you're just going to put your, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Actually, sorry. I meant to go back. I meant to take off the AR here. So yo escucho en clase. Here we're going to practice conjugating. So we're going to look at the subject and we're going to decide which ending should we use. And if you want to jot down your endings, just so you have them up here, o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Oops. So here we have yo escuchar en clase. The first thing we're going to do is take off the AR and we want to plug in the ending for yo. And so it'd be escucho en clase. Next one we have is Pablo tomar apuntes. So we're going to take off our AR. Since Pablo is the same as L, it would be toma apuntes. Nosotros sacar malas notas. So here we're going to take off our AR, and since it's nosotros, it would be sacamos malas notas. Claudia y Pablo estudiar. So here we're going to take off estudiar, and we're going to add an, estudian, they study. Tú contestar preguntas, so you answer questions. There it's going to be tú contestas preguntas, you answer questions. Diego y yo llegar a clase tarde. So here, if we take up our AR, Diego and yo is Diego and I, so that's going to be nosotros llegamos a clase tarde. So what I'm going to do is put in the rags to riches game that we practiced on Tuesday. Just play it again, and then hopefully that will help you with your endings and to memorize them and because you want to definitely know them well. You're going to need them a lot as we move forward, and then we're going to add and do ER, IR verbs next. So you want to have a good understanding of these. So for the last part of class today, all you have to do is just repeat after me. We're practicing a little pronunciation and comprehension. So you're just going to repeat after me. La familia típica latinoamericana. Es difícil hablar de una familia típica latinoamericana, especialmente porque Latinoamérica es una región muy grande con muchos países. So with many countries. Sin embargo, En todas las sociedades, las familias cambian para adaptarse a los tiempos modernos. So we know that cambian means change. They change. In todas las sociedades, in all societies, families change para adaptarse a tiempos modernos, to adapt themselves. La familia típica latinoamericana urbana tiene pocos hijos y el hombre y la mujer trabajan. So in these more typical urban families, they have few children and the man and the woman works, just like our society pretty much. Las familias extendidas son muy importantes, pero en la mayoría de las casas no viven muchos familiares. In the majority of the houses, there aren't a lot of family members living there. Vivir is to live, viven, they live. Por ejemplo, en Chile vive un promedio de 3.2 personas por casa y en México viven 3.9. So promedio is an average of 3.2 people in the house, and in Mexico 3.9 people in the house. En Colombia y en México, en el 74% de las casas viven solamente los padres y los hijos o una pareja sin hijos. So we're saying 74% live only with fathers, parents, and children, or a couple, una pareja, without, sin hijos, without children. Solo en el 24 de las casas, 24%, viven otros miembros de la familia, como abuelos, nietos u otros familiares. Ahora también, now also, hay muchas familias donde los hijos viven solo uno, con uno, con solo uno de sus padres o ninguno. So they only live with one of their parents or none of them. También hay casas donde dos adultos viven juntos, pero no están casados. They are not married. So there are houses where two adults live together, but they're not married. Okay, so then we're talking about here in varios países latinoamericanos, el divorcio es cada vez más frecuente. So you can see here that we're saying divorce is more frequent. In Chile, el divorcio es legal desde 2004. Y por eso aumentaron mucho entre el 2004 y el 2014. So they went up since they became legal in 2004. Pero la situación es mejor ahora. The situation is better. En México, la tasa de divorcios es 16%. Y en Colombia, 24%. Curiosamente, España tiene una de las tasas de divorcio más altas del mundo. So Spain has one of the highest rates in the world. It's weird, right? Otra estadística interesante que habla de la importancia de la familia es la frecuencia con que las familias comen juntas. So here we're saying that there's this statistic that's saying the importance of families eating together. Familias comen juntas. En toda Latinoamérica, comer juntos es importante. En Argentina, el 86% de las familias come junta. So 86% of families eat together. En contraste con Perú, donde solo el 69% come junta. So 69% in Peru eat together. En Estados Unidos, el número es aproximadamente el 65%. So I'm not sure if that shocks you that the United States is 65. So let's actually, we'll do that next time I see you. So just a little bit of reading and pronunciation practice. Gracias, estudiantes. Adiós.